Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Having a little bit of trouble with my live stream, particularly. I'm not having too much trouble, I should say. Um, let's see. Let's see. I'm just checking everything out here. You can tell it's the start of the morning, cause yeah. Let's see here. Gonna check elsewhere. See if this is working. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. Mike's good. Let's see what's going on today. What's the trouble today? So my output's looking good. The trouble today. So my output's looking good. The trouble today. Okay, got it fixed. Sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, technology. It wouldn't be a Monday if there was nothing wrong, technology-wise. So I'm just watching my mods and everything, my settings to make sure that we're looking good. We are looking good. We're looking more than good. We're looking fabulous, actually. But good morning. My voice is a little raspy. Just I'm not sure why. It might be the spring that's coming along, and my sinuses kind of have been killing me. And then also too, I was up last night watching Black Swan because I love that movie with Natalie Portman, and it's so good. It just always baffles me is that I'm just like she ends up killing her. She stabs herself. She self harm herself, and I'm just like, what? It surprised me every time. It's like, why? But anyway, hello and welcome everyone for joining me today. My name is Dion Dusty Lion. I'm so excited for you to be here with me today during this live stream. I mean, today we're going to be discussing news around entertainment, public health, specifically HIV, and in this case, HIV and some other things. Local and national events, and some entertainment as well. So I encourage you to get involved and get involved in your community, learn what's going on. I know I don't capture everything, but I try to capture what I can. But if you have something that you'd like to share, be sure to drop it in the chat, and I'll be sure to spread that as best as I can. But I hope you all are excited as I am to get started today. But before we dive in, you know what we do and what we do best. Take a moment and take a sip of this tea. Bing! Mmm. It's so good. It's so good. My gosh, this hits the soul. Hits the soul. I just want to thank my supporters, my friends for sharing this. If you're one of them that's sharing this and watching this, I thank you so much. I appreciate you, and please keep doing what you do best. So I just want to go ahead and throughout this live stream, remind everyone that I encourage you to ask questions that you may have and drop it in the chat. And I'll do my best to just pause what I'm doing and take a read at it. I'm doing a little something different here with the chat, right? It's a little bit different here, but I'm gonna go ahead and drop my little comment in there where you know exactly where it is. Drop your question here. And there you can drop your question and get involved there, okay? See, it's doing that weird again. It's doing that again. Let me try this again. Drop your question in the chat. Now, I guess it wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't happening, right? So you should see my my thing in the comments now. So you have a question, drop it in there, okay? I love you so much. But today's mantra with the T is actually pretty um, relevant, personally for me. But it reads: trust your identity, be in touch with your reality. So for any of you beautiful souls that are out there, healing souls out there, be sure to step into your power, know who you are, and be good, spread good, pour good into the universe. That's all you can do, and it will return back to you. But with that being said, I want to go ahead and just give a little shout out for my little tee, my hoodie that I'm rocking today. HIV is hopeful in victory. I had these on sale for a bit, but I had stopped after I sold out my first batch. I'm not gonna even lie; it was a headache to go through. You could probably find an Instagram post of me like going through the whole process. Truly. Um, but I want to just go ahead and take us to our first story of today. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on transgender involvement in sports in the Constitution. The U.S. Supreme Court is set to hear arguments in a case that could have major implications for transgender athletes in their ability to compete in sports. The case, brought by Stanford student athlete Lindsay Bayer, challenges a policy that prohibits transgender women from competing in women's sport at a collegiate level. The case, Bayer versus NCAA, centers around a policy adopted by the National Collegiate Athletic Association, also known as the NCAA, that requires transgender women to undergo hormone therapy and has been taking hormone therapy for more than a year. Argues that the policy violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. The U.S. Supreme Court's decision in the case could have far-reaching implications for transgender athletes if the anti-transgender bans wasn't enough that's happening. I mean, this is another one to pile on to the Supreme Court far-reaching implications around the country regarding transgender rights in the U.S. and their ability to compete in sports at all levels. Supporters of transgender rights argue that the policy discriminates against transgender athletes and denies them the opportunity to participate in sports that align with their gender identity. Opponents of transgender athletes participation in sports argue that allowing transgender women to compete in women's sport gives them an unfair advantage over cisgender women. They claim that testosterone levels, bone density, and other physical factors give transgender women an inherent advantage in sports. If I recall, there was a story, and I won't dive into it because I don't know all of the details and facts, but I feel like this was a similar case that was brought against black African and black athletes as far as their natural talents or natural abilities compared to others. I may have to dig that one up. It was something a while ago. It was a obscene argument, which is kind of like what's happening here. Where we are just throwing out things that doesn't necessarily make sense. But genetically, I see that. I see the understanding. But you have the science behind it, where you are introducing different hormone therapy that does affect the testosterone level and affects the estrogen level. So there are a lot of things that go into factor here. But anywho, the case has sparked protests nonetheless in demonstrations across the country, with supporters of transgender rights calling for the end of discriminatory practices and policies and for the right of transgender athletes to participate in sports at all levels. Cal Duncan, the attorney representing Bayer, said in a statement, "The NCAA's policy is discriminatory and violates the Constitution. We are confident that the Supreme Court will see that and rule in our favor." End quote. In response to this, opponents of transgender athletes' participation in sports have organized their own protests and demonstrations, calling for the preservation of what they see as fair competition in women's sport. As the case goes before the Supreme Court, supporters of transgender rights are urging people to speak out and make their voices heard. They're calling people to contact their elected officials, sign petitions, and attend rallies and protests in support of transgender athletes. Y'all better get involved. A lot of the Supreme Court ruling is really putting a lot of the power back into the state power. So it really comes down to who are state elected officials. And yeah, because the Supreme Court is just, I haven't lost all, but they're going to be getting a lot of cases that are extremely important. And I'm not necessarily sure if I have faith in the current Supreme Court, and of course with my identity and trans folks' identity as well. But nonetheless, please contact your elected official. Search what petitions you need to sign, depending on what your beliefs is. I'm not trying to sway you other. I'm just trying to persuade you to use your First Amendment right. Use your voice. Use your right to vote. Use your right to share proper and correct information. And of course, go to rallies and protests. Hell, if I get an invite, I'm definitely going, and I'm making me a sign. But to end this story, this quote comes from Mara Kiesling. She's the executive director of the National Center for Transgender Equality, a place that you can go check out if you want to learn some more about how to get involved. Again, National Center for Transgender Equality. She states that we need to show the Supreme Court that the American people stand with transgender athletes and believe in their right to compete in sports without discrimination. The Supreme Court is expected to hear the argument in this case in the coming months and issue a ruling by the end of this year. If you would like to learn more about this specific case or even want to follow up on it, I'm going to go ahead and drop this story in the chat along with the link, and you can go ahead and do a little bit of review yourself. And by all means, if you have questions, reach out to your local officials or reach out to, again, the National Center for Transgender Equality. I'm dropping that in the chat as well for you all. But moving on to our second story. Abolishing State Violence. An excerpt from, quote, We Keep Us Safe. A new book titled We Keep Us Safe by Zach Norris, the executive director of Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, is making waves with its call for the abolition of state violence. This is going to get good, y'all. The book argues that policing, and incarceration are fundamentally flawed institutions that perpetuate violence, particularly against communities of color, and that we need to create new systems of public safety that prioritize community-based solutions. In an excerpt of the book, published in the nonprofit Quarterly, Norris lays out his argument for why we need to abolish the current system of policing and incarceration. He points out that the United States has the highest rates of incarceration in the world, with over 2 million people currently in prison. The vast majority of those people are Black, brown, or indigenous, and the impact of mass incarceration on those communities have been devastating. Norris argued that the current system of policing and incarceration is not only ineffective, but actively harmful. He points out to the numerous cases of police brutality, excessive force that have been made headlines in recent years, as well as the countless instances of racial profiling and discriminatory policing that occur every day. In order to create a truly just and equitable system of public safety, Norris argued that we need to start by investing in community, particularly those that have been most impacted by the state. This means providing resources for education, healthcare, housing, transportation, and economic development, as well as creating new systems for restorative justices that prioritize healing and reconciliation. Sounds like a really good book. Norris was emphasizing the importance of community-led solutions to public health. He argues that communities themselves are best equipped to identify the root causes of violence in their neighborhoods and to develop effective strategies for addressing them. The book has received praise from a number of leading activists and scholars, including Angela Davis, who called it a critical contribution to the movement for social and racial justice. It has sparked a wider conversation about a need to fundamentally rethink the way we approach public safety in this country. As call as calls for police reform and abolition continue to gain momentum, We Keep Us Safe offers a compelling vision for a new system of public safety that prioritizes community-based solutions over state violence. Whether or not we can achieve this vision remains to be seen, but the book does ensure a key text in an ongoing debate about the future of policing and incarceration in America today. If you are interested in learning more about this story, I'm going to go ahead and drop the title and, of course, the link where you can access where to publish or purchase this book, but also where you can read more about this story. But moving on to our third and next story, we have here a fight over LGBT rights threatens access to HIV care in Tennessee. As you all know, in the past month, I have been trying to report the most updated information regarding the HIV funding that's happening, the cutting of HIV funding over in Tennessee, in the state of Tennessee, and it's becoming very, very apparent that it is not going in a very positive direction. And I don't mean that, sarcastically, because I'm usually like, oh, like, da da, because I'm positive, because I actually am positive. But I always find it funny. But this story is not funny. A fight over LGBT rights in Tennessee is threatening access to HIV care for thousands of people living with HIV. The state's legislature recently passed a series of bills that limit the rights of LGBTQ people, including a law that allows adoption agencies to discriminate against same-sex couples, and another that prohibits transgender athletes from competing in school sports. But it's a third law aimed at preventing the promotion of homosexuality in schools that is having the most immediate impact on access to HIV care. The law, known as HB 0803, requires teachers to inform parents if they discuss issues related to sexual orientation or gender identity in the classroom. This has led to some healthcare providers to fear that providing HIV care to minors could be considered a violation of the law. And if the healthcare provider is feeling that way, that's very frightening, because they're the one that's administering the health. And, right? They're trying to help and heal. But what's so concerning about this particular story is that it goes to the different what's happening across the country. There's battle happening regarding the critical race theory. There's battles happening against anti-trans policies, teaching about sex and gender studies in schools, and it just goes to show that our system is not built to evolve as we as a nation evolve. We are changing, and things should change. We should move in that way. But there are some people that aren't ready for that. Some people are afraid of change. Some people fear the unknown. But what's so important about this is that there's no such thing as unknown. There are people's lives at stakes, and people who are living these experiences who can tell you how beneficial it would have been had they known that they had resources available to them, had they known that they received a comprehensive education around sex and gender. Things would be different. But hopefully this story and the things that are happening around it can compel folks to get involved and do what needs to be done. We're concerned that if we provide HIV care to minors who are a part of the LGBT plus community, that could be seen as promoting homosexuality, and that could put our clinics at risk, said Dr. Kelly Cooper, medical director of a comprehensive care center at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville, Tennessee. The Comprehensive Care Center is one of the largest HIV clinics in Tennessee, serving over 3,000 patients each year. But the new law has left healthcare providers unsure about how to provide HIV care or provide care to the LGBTQ youth without running afoul of the law. Quote, "We don't want to violate the law, but we also don't want to deny care to anyone who needs it," said Cooper. It's a really difficult situation. Advocates from the LGBTQ plus community and HIV care community have expressed their concerns about the impact of the law on states' most vulnerable population. They argue that the law could lead to more stigma and discrimination against LGBTQ plus youth and could also lead to increased rates of HIV transmission. Quote, we know that the LGBTQ plus youth are at higher risk for HIV than their peers, and this law can make it even harder for them to get the care they need, said Dr. Rupert Patel, an infectious disease specialist and member of the Tennessee HIV Planning Council. What up? Okay, well, what would they call it? Tipsy? Because I'm part of the IHIPSI, which is the Illinois HIV Planning Council. Interesting. I'm going to tap into y'all next week because this might be a person that I need to get on board, get interview for this. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm starting to work in interviews with this, but a lot of this stuff really comes together over the weekend. My stories do, because I let them run in during the week. But anywho, I'm going to try and reach out to Dr. Rupa Patel. This is good. Synergy. The law has also drawn attention to national LGBT and HIV advocacy groups who have condemned the legislation and called for its repeal. The fight for LGBT rights and HIV care are deeply intertwined, said Alfonso David, president of the Human Rights Campaign. We cannot have one without the other. This law is a clear attack on both. Despite the outcry from advocates, the law remains in effect in Tennessee, but healthcare providers and LGBT advocates are vowing to fight back, both in the courts and in the legislature. We're not going to let this law stand in the way of providing care to those who need it, said Cooper. We're going to keep fighting until everyone in Tennessee has access to health care they deserve. If you want to learn more about that, PBS has dropped a beautiful story on this. I encourage you to go check that out at that link. Come by here next week. I'm going to try and get Dr. Patel on our segment here. But moving on to story 4. Y'all already know what it is. Talking about these student loans, because you them, your boys, your girls, your thems, we all got student debt, okay? Some of us do, some of us don't, some of us a little bit deeper, some of us a little bit lighter. But if you got it, you got it. As the Supreme Court considers student loans forgiveness, states may expand their programs. What do I mean by that? Let's see. As the United States Supreme Court prepares to consider the legality of student loan forgiveness programs, several states are considering expanding their own programs to help alleviate the burden of student debt. Remember what I said earlier? States are having to show more power because the Supreme Court is either moving too slow or they're just showing resistance or hesitancy. We don't know. But this just goes to show that it's so important that we consider who we're voting into these state positions, state elected officials, and even local officials too, because everyone has sway. But anywho, the case before the Supreme Court, which is set to hear arguments later this year, centers around the constitutionality of student loan forgiveness programs implemented by the state of Pennsylvania. The program, which forgives loans for certain public servants and teachers who have made at least 120 monthly payments, has been challenged by a group of borrowers who argue that it violates the contract clause of the U.S. Constitution. But as the legal battle over the Pennsylvania program plays out, other states are moving forward with their own efforts to address the student debt crisis. Several states, including California, New York, and Maryland, have established their own loan forgiveness programs in recent years, and more are considering to do the same. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom recently proposed a $4.2 billion plan to provide debt relief to an estimated 1.2 million borrowers in the state. The plan will provide up to $50,000 in loan forgiveness for borrowers who earn less than $80,000 a year and have a total household income of less than $160,000. In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul has proposed a similar plan that will provide up to $50,000 in loan forgiveness for borrowers who earn less than $125,000 a year and have a total household income of less than $250,000 a year. And in Maryland, lawmakers are considering a bill that would establish a state-based loan forgiveness program for teachers who work in high-need schools and in subject areas where teachers with teacher shortages. Advocates for student loan forgiveness argue that these programs are critical for helping millions of Americans around the country who are struggling with student debt, which has reached an all-time high of $1.7 trillion. My gosh. They say that a burden of student debt is preventing many young people from buying homes, starting families, and pursuing their dreams. We need bold action to address student debt crisis, and state-based loan forgiveness programs are an important part of the solution, said Suzanne Martindale, a senior policy counselor for Consumer Reports. Quote, these programs can provide real relief to borrowers and to help to create a more equitable and just society. As the Supreme Court considers the Supreme Court considers the legality of the Pennsylvania program, the fate of these state-based loan forgiveness programs remains uncertain. But advocates say that they will continue to fight for the right of states to provide relief for their residents who are struggling with student debt. Quote, we cannot wait for federal government to act on this issue, said Martindale. We need states to take bold action now to help those who are burdened by student debt. We will continue to push that at every level. If you're wanting to learn more about this particular story, or this particular topic, I should say, you can do so at this link that I am dropping in the chat for you right now. And honestly, it's something to follow in my opinion. I think you guys would find it worthwhile. But moving on to our next story. Global Prep Learning Network. Can I get my record deal? Global Prep Learning Network launches an expand access to prep. If you guys have not checked this out, I encourage you because it's some really good information there. Like they have all their slides, their recordings. It's really beautiful. An amazing symposium. A new initiative, the Global Prep Network. Oh wait, the Global Prep Learning Network. Okay, run my dollars. Has been launched to expand access to pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is also known as PrEP, for people at risk of contracting HIV. PrEP is a medication that can be taken daily, of course, to significantly reduce the risk of HIV transmission. Despite its effectiveness, access to PrEP remains limited for some folks in the country and many parts of the world, to be honest, particularly in low middle income countries. The Global PrEP Learning Network aims to address this gap by providing resources and support to organizations and governments working to expand access to PrEP. The initiative will include a range of activities, including training and technical assistance, peer-to-peer learning opportunities, and the development of best practices for PrEP implementation. If you're a provider or if you're a person that's a part of the community, I encourage you to take a look at this. This is a beautiful, beautiful resource. According to Mitchell Warren, the executive director at AVAC, a co-founder of the Global PrEP Learning Network, the initiative is an important step towards ensuring that everyone who needs PrEP can access it, including the educational materials. Let's not forget that. But expanding access to PrEP is a critical part of the global response to HIV. Warren said in a statement, the Global PrEP Learning Network will play a key role in helping to ensure that the most up-to-date information and resources are available to those working to expand access to PrEP. The Global PrEP Learning Network is a collaboration between AVAC and the International Association of Providers of AIDS Care and the World Health Organization. The initiative is supported by a range of global health organizations and funders. If you want to get involved on this and you want to see more of this, I encourage you to check this out. It's so cool. I've already shared it in the Soul Grow community that I'm a part of, which I should talk about next time I'm here. I was a part of a healing discussion with queer men of color last Sunday, and it was so beautiful. I was just in the other one yesterday, and it's just rewarding. There's a virtual community of queer men just uplifting each other, trying to heal, trying to unlearn some things, heal through our trauma. Talk about and create community nonetheless. But I will share more of that next week. It's really amazing. If you just want to get ahead of it already, you're just like, hey, yeah, this sounds awesome. I want to be a part of it. It's a Slack community. Check out my Instagram. I shared on there my story. I've already shared where you can access it in my feed. If you really want to be a part of the community, I'm telling you, it's a loving place. It has been really fulfilling since I've been a part of it already. But moving on to our next story, we had PEPFAR. PEPFAR. But PEPFAR reauthorization in 2023 raises concerns and issues for HIV and the AIDS response. Now, the former President Bush emergency plan for AIDS relief, PEPFAR, was introduced and is set to be reauthorized in 2023, and experts are raising key issues for the continued response to HIV/AIDS. Now, this plan, PEPFAR, was launched back in 2003. My gosh, that's 20 years ago. Jesus Christ. PEPFAR has been instrumental in addressing the global HIV and AIDS epidemic. The program has saved millions of lives and is considered one of the most successful global health initiatives in history. However, PEPFAR approaches its reauthorization. Experts are highlighting key issues that must be addressed to continue to fight against HIV/AIDS. One such issue is the need to continued funding. PEPFAR's success has been attributed in large part to its significant financial resources, and experts warn that any decrease in funding could have dire consequences for HIV/AIDS response. Stigma and discrimination can also be a significant barrier to HIV prevention and treatment, particularly among marginalized communities. Advocates are calling for PEPFAR to be prioritized as a prioritized effort to combat stigma and discrimination, particularly among men who have sex with men, sex workers, transgender people, and people who inject drugs. Finally, the experts are urging PEPFAR to focus on the most vulnerable populations, particularly adolescent girls and young women in sub-Saharan Africa, who are disproportionately affected by HIV/AIDS. As the reauthorization process for PEPFAR continues, advocates and experts are working to ensure that these key issues are addressed to continue the progress made in global health and global response to HIV/AIDS. Oh, excuse me, girl. I'm going to go ahead and drop that story in the chat. Feel free to read more on that, explore the topic. And we're coming up to our second to last story. And then we're going to be jumping into some breaking news and entertainment. But even low-level HIV viral load can lead to adverse health outcomes, a study finds. New research suggests that even low-level HIV viral loads in people with HIV can lead to adverse health outcomes. The study published in the Journal of Infectious Disease found that HIV-positive individuals with a viral load of 50 to 199 copies per milliliter of blood were more likely to experience negative health outcomes, including cardiovascular disease, liver disease, compared to those with undetectable viral loads. The researchers analyzed data from nearly 1,000 HIV-positive individuals who were receiving antiviral therapy, also known as ART, and had achieved viral suppression, meaning their viral load was undetectable. Undetectable means untransmittable, U equals U. However, nearly 7% of these individuals had low-level I can never say this word, I've been practicing it. Viremia, defined as a viral load between 50 and 199 copies per milliliter. The study's lead author, Dr. Mitchell Silverberg of the Kaiser Permanente Northern California Division of Research, okay, Dr. Silverberg, emphasizes the importance of maintaining undetectable viral loads, as even low-level viremia can have negative health outcomes. It's important for people living with HIV to take their medication as prescribed and keep their viral load suppressed, end quote, says Silverberg. Even low-level viremia is associated with increased risk of adverse outcomes, so we need to continue to monitor these individuals closely. The findings highlight the importance of regular HIV viral load monitoring and adherence to ART to ensure that individuals with HIV maintain undetectable viral loads, which can help prevent negative health outcomes. If you're actually wanting to read this study, I highly encourage to take a look at it. It's a really good study. It's linked to pause.com. More for you all today. And I'm going to be moving on to our last story. And I got to be hearing my clickety clack on my keyboard. My sister was telling me a few weeks ago, she was like, you be clicking and clacking on that keyboard, don't you? I could just hear it. I'm like, I sure do, sis. I sure do. But I love you. Click, 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 click. Even when we're on the phone, just be clickety clack, all that. But anywho, an open letter to Walgreens has been issued. I'm not sure if folks who are part of the HIV community and the advocacy community, activism, all that great stuff, if you saw that, or if you're a part of the SoGrow. I don't think it was in the SoGrow. It was actually a part of the a global community that I'm in, and I'm literally drawing a blank on the name. Give me a second while I pull that up, because I actually want to share that name, because it's important that you all know what that is, in case you also want to get involved with it. Let's see. The Choice Agenda. My gosh. The Choice Agenda is a global network community. If you are interested in getting involved in that, just reach out to me. I would share the information with you personally. I'm not trying to gatekeep it. I just don't want to go through the hoops of finding my email to send you the email. But if you are interested in joining that global conversation, it is a global community of experts, public health experts, who share information, who share studies and publications, and just really have a good conversation. You're even encouraged to share your point of view, right? Everyone is a part of that discussion. And in that particular community, there was an open letter to Walgreens that was shared from advocates calling for a greater support for people living with HIV. A coalition of HIV advocacy organization has written an open letter to Walgreens calling on the company to take greater action to support people living with HIV. The letter, signed by 29 organizations including AIDS United, the National Black Justice Coalition, and the Positive Women's Network USA, outlined a number of concerns about Walgreens' policies and practices related to HIV. One key issue raised in the letter is Walgreens' failure to provide sufficient training for pharmacists and staff on HIV and the need of people living with HIV. The coalition calls for mandatory training for all Walgreens employees to ensure that they are equipped to provide quality care for people living with HIV. The letter also raises concerns about Walgreens' pricing practices for HIV medication, which the coalition says can create financial barriers for people living with HIV. The coalition calls on Walgreens to ensure that all people living with HIV has access to affordable medication. If you aren't aware, if you do go to Gilead.com, you can access Gilead. They provide a free pharmacy card, copay card, where it really just pays a lot of your expenses, your HIV medication. I had used this during my transition in my last job. I missed the enrollment period and I didn't have health coverage. I had to figure out how to get that out-of-pocket health coverage for myself. But I couldn't also afford the $3,000 for my HIV medication. So what I did is I went to Howard Brown. I informed them. They told me about this Gilead service. My mentor, Chris Wade, even mentioned it to me as well. He's like, hey, if you can go here, they give you this card where it covers a considerable amount of, if not all of it, of your HIV medication. So if you aren't aware of that, I highly encourage you to check Gilead.com. They do provide some assistance with that. Nonetheless, this doesn't mean that this letter ain't called for Walgreens. They own y'all ass. But anywho, finally, the letter highlights concerns about Walgreens' marketing practices, particularly around HIV testing. The coalition calls on Walgreens to ensure that all marketing materials related to HIV testing are inclusive and accurate, and that they do not perpetuate stigma or discrimination against people living with HIV. The coalition emphasizes that Walgreens has an important role to play in supporting people living with HIV/AIDS. Given the company's significant presence in the healthcare industry, the letter concludes with a call for Walgreens to take concrete steps to address the concerns raised by the coalition. and to work collaboratively with HIV advocacy organizations to improve care for people living with HIV/AIDS. As of yet, Walgreens has yet to say anything. They haven't really put out a public response. I wrote this story yesterday, so I'm not sure if they did something today, but as of the point of when I wrote this, there was nothing that was out there. So we'll just have to wait and see what Walgreens will do. However, the coalition expressed hope that the letter will prompt meaningful action by the company to improve support for people living with HIV. You can check out this story, the full story, at pause.com. I'm going to drop it in the chat for you. I highly encourage you to take a look at this story and what's out there. Read this letter. It's really powerful because I didn't fully give all of the I would say I fully did give all of the information. I try to summarize this letter and the story as best I can to be able to share it with you because again, Walgreens is a huge part of the industry, especially when we talk about distributing HIV medication. They are very significant. So it's important that they are involved on how the support that they're doing. With that being said, I'm just a little bit deterred and concerned that things won't turn out the way that it needs to. But I'm being hopeful. So I'll go ahead and try to move things forward. And oh wait, sorry, I got something coming through. Okay. Yep. All right. I just want to make sure that was good. I had a comment in the chat, but you know what's next. Okay, you may not know what's next, but what's next? You wanna know what's next? You know what's next. The breaking news. Of course, darling. Now, in this week's breaking news, y'all, it is some good tea. Good tea. I just gotta clear some things out because I want to make sure y'all see this. But if you haven't yet seen Disney's first full-length trailer of The Little Mermaid, of course, our Little Mermaid, the one, the only, Hal Bailey, as the Little Mermaid. And I'm going to be playing this trailer, of course, but the film will mark Bailey's first feature film debut. The singer is one half of the singer duo Chloe x Halle and stars in the freeform sitcom Grownish. In an interview with Variety, director Rob Marshall said Bailey was the only person he could see playing Ariel. Okay, you look, okay. After an extensive search, it was abundantly clear that Holly possesses that rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance, plus a glorious singing voice, all intrinsic qualities necessary to play this iconic role. Oh, and because of that, we're gonna go ahead and play it.
All hands on deck! Abandon ship!
Look at her.
You broke the rules. You went to the above world.
A man was drowning. I had to save him.
This obsession with humans has to stop.
I just want to know more about them. Ariel, don't!
Poor child.
I can help you. You can't live in that world unless you become a human yourself.
Is that even possible?
It's what I live for.
That's what I live for. Yes, the laugh.
Something about you seems different. I can't quite figure it out.
She got legs, you idiot.
don't know when, I don't know how, but I know something's starting right now. Watching, you'll see. Someday I'll be part of you.
He's a human. You're a mermaid.
But that doesn't make us enemies.
Wow. Ooh, my gosh. If that moves me. That moves me every time I see that. When I first saw it, I was like in tears. I'm like on verge of tears right now. If I could show you, I would. But oh my gosh. The film will mark Bailey's feature film. Her voice is so beautiful. The singer is a one half. I say that, but as you saw, it is going to debut in May 2023. So get on the tip of your seats because it's gonna be good. But moving on to our next story here, the 2023 Esteem Awards finalists have been announced. 11 individuals, including yours truly, myself, and 2 organizations have been selected to be honored during this year's 16th Annual Esteem Awards. Our Outstanding Social Service / Community-Based Organization and Special Recognition honorees will be announced later this year. They are very happy to report 2 new awards, which will be given to 2 healthcare providers for their outstanding services to the community. The Esteem Awards is a 501c3 organization. A committee of past finalists with input from the public has chosen this year's recipients. Award finalists will be celebrated at an in-person event on Saturday, July 1st at Sidetrack that you can go to at 3349 North Hallstatt in Chicago from 1 to 3 p.m. This event is free to the public and all are welcome to attend. I encourage you all to join here. I will be there. I would love to see your face. I would love to say hi. And a great opportunity to just network and share stories with the folks who are a part of my community. If you want to learn more, I'll drop the link in the chat for you all, and you can go ahead and jump into that bad boy. Moving on to the next story. Oh, this was just something I also saw. So if you're once you follow that link, you can actually go to their website. I did an interview back with Philip Esteem regarding the musical that I'm in, and also the work that I've been doing in the community, and just trying to do what I can on my side of the world. But yeah, Black queer activists talks about their passion and purpose. I need to fix my pronouns because that's not my right pronouns. At first, I fixed it earlier. It said Black gay, now it's Black queer. So I need to go and make sure that I ask Philip to change my pronouns. Hey, nothing's perfect. That's the beauty of it. But if you are interested in learning more about the story, I encourage you to go check this out. But that is it for our breaking news. This was good, y'all. This was real good. But moving on to, we got a lot of things going on in our events. Like when I tell you events are going up on a Monday. I know it's not a real thing, but you know what? Y'all gonna have to deal with it. Well, I'm gonna transition to make sure that I'm looking right. I'm in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? But let me just get my board ready for my transitions. But the first event that's happening, Awake and Aware, it's the time of this year, and it's the time of the year that the Health LGBTQ Plus Awareness Week is just around the corner, and organizers are gearing up for a week of events and activities to celebrate the community. From workshops on mental health to fitness classes, there's something for everyone. But what's really caught my attention, and probably will catch your attention, is the announcement of the Queer Eye for the Queer Guy fashion show. That's right. The hit TV show is taking a break from making over straight guys and turning their attention to the LGBTQ plus community. The fashion show will feature LGBTQ plus models wearing outfits styled by the Fab Five themselves. Organizers say the event is meant to celebrate the diversity and highlight the unique fashion sense of the LGBT community. And who knows, maybe the Fab Five will even give some fashion tips to the audience. The Health LGBTQ plus Awareness Week runs from April 10th to April 16th, so mark your calendars and get ready for a week of fun and celebration. If you want to get in on this, I'm telling y'all right now, you better hop on this chat. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Go ahead and register. It's gonna be a beautiful thing, a great experience. But moving on to our next story. Oh, not me, going back to my breaking news. Yeah, I ain't new to this. I know how to work the board. But on to our second event, the National Town Hall meeting that's occurring regarding the HIV funding that's being cut. About 50% of it's being cut. That's a lot of damn money. But if you are interested, get your phone out, take a screenshot of this, go online. You can actually find this image online yourself, but please go there and save the date. This is a national town hall. It's virtual and it is free, and it is about the Tennessee's rejection of the HIV funding from the CDC. Numbers is power, so get in on this. This is happening March 23rd, Thursday at 3 to 4:30 p.m. 5 to 6:30 Central Standard Time, all right? And 6 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. The time zone there is a little bit crazy. Speakers to be announced. They're still figuring a lot of this stuff out, but nonetheless, get involved. This is going to be something worth getting in on. So if you want to learn more about that, I don't have a link for this. The link that's actually on this QR code is a little bit funky. I will try to share an updated one. I share one on my Twitter account. But if you want to learn more, I encourage you to get there and find that bad boy out, because honestly, I'm going to be there for sure. And like I said, if anything, I'll try to find a link for everyone here to share that. Moving on to our third event. Stop by anytime for a guided tour of their office where you will learn about AIDS Foundation of Chicago and CHA's accomplishment in 2022. And stay for a reception with food and drinks where they'll be honoring various community leaders for their valuable contributions to AFC and CAH progress towards achieving health equity and justice in Illinois. Again, this is AIDS Foundation Chicago, and the Center for Housing and Health Board and staff invites you to join the 2023 annual meeting Unifying for Impact. You can join this particular event on Tuesday, March 23rd. This is in person. That'll go from 6:30 to 8 o'clock at AIDS Foundation Chicago at their office. You can get the information and the details, here with this registration link. I'm going to copy that for you all, where you can attend, and registration, I believe, is free as well. So I highly encourage you to check this bad boy out. Moving on to our next story. I'm a part of the tech community, of course, because there's so much happening in the world. But if you're like me and you are always curious to learn more and grow and always see yourself as a student, then this is the event for you. The AI surge is transforming the world in a workplace, but you can dominate it. Join the Bit community for their presentation on mastering AI tools and learn how technology professionals can use it to stay ahead of the curve in various careers. I encourage you all, if you are seeing a lot of AI things, it's going to be integrated in a lot of ways in our work environment. And I'm not going to say it's going to, take away jobs, but it may alters what jobs look like. I can definitely say that for sure. But if you want to get ahead of the curve, I encourage you to register for this event. Here we go. I'm not sure what just happened. But it autocorrected itself, so thank goodness. But moving on to our fifth event, I'm just gonna make sure everything's running here and check my channels. Destinations. We are good. We're good. Okay, gonna go here. Okay, we're good. We're back live. Sorry about that, everyone. But join experts to talk about the current and emerging strategies in PrEP funding landscape, including a proposed national PrEP program, 340B drug pricing, Ready Set PrEP, PrEP assistance program, and more. You can learn about all of this great stuff here at the event. I'm going to post in the chat for you all. Again, I don't have the photo because I honestly I didn't redesign my program, my board, my technical board for more stuff. There's just a lot happening this week, and I'm not gonna hold on to them because I'm like, they need to hear this. The last event that I want to talk to you about was before I've been here, did that research reflection from CROI 2023. Speakers will include community leaders and researchers reflecting on the most interesting consequential science presented at CROI 2023. So if you did miss this and you haven't been able to access the tools, the recording tools that they got from there, I encourage you to check this out. It's going to be co-moderated by Davin Nabiar, Gay Men's Sexual Health Alliance in Canada, and CROI Community Educator Scholar. And of course, including featured researchers, Dr. Monica Gandhi, and featured community speakers from CROI 2023 Community Educator Scholars. So if you want to learn more about that, that is in the chat as well. I encourage you to take a look at that. And I want to go ahead and shift us over to our next segment because this is pretty important. I want to go ahead and talk with you all about something that is near dear to my heart. I'm gonna move that over. Oh my gosh, sorry. Give me a second. Let me get my. For some reason that it doesn't wanna. It don't wanna set me up right. Bring that back over. There we go. My gosh. All right. But I just want to go ahead and I'm actually been doing a thing. And want to share it with you all and anyone else who's wanting to be a part of that. But if you are a person of color and you have a big idea that you would like to share, but you just don't have the resources or tools or programs to get it done, I want to hear from you. I want to help you. I want to help you make that idea come true. I am building a network. And my network is seeking talented and innovative individuals who want to showcase their creativity, their ideas, and unique perspectives, and how I can share those, such as doing a live stream or doing a post-production project. Anything that comes to mind. I really want to stay true to content creation and sharing and uplifting Black voices, particularly people of color. So I'm prioritizing that. I just want to go ahead and put it out there. I got nothing against you if you are white, European, American. I am not coming for you. I'm just stating what I'm looking for. But what I'm hoping to see is I believe that diverse voices are essential in shaping the future of media and entertainment, and I and my network is committed to creating a platform that celebrates and amplifies Black voices, particularly people of color voices. As a Black creator, myself and anyone else who's watching this, you will bring a fresh and dynamic perspective to the table. Your experience and your stories are vital to shaping the cultural landscape, and I want to help you share them with the world. My network provides a supportive and collaborative environment where you can connect with other like-minded individuals and gain exposure to your work, as well as payment. Whether you're a filmmaker, writer, musician, or visual artist, I want to hear from you. I want to share your ideas and help you bring it to life. So join me and be a part of the vibrant community that celebrates creativity and diversity. Let's work together and create something truly magical and special and make a lasting impact on the world. But I just want to share that announcement. If you are interested, you can reach me at dionamcneil@gmail.com. Again, if you have a great idea but you just don't have the tools or resources, let me help you out. I think I can make that come true, and I don't mind. The only thing is, we're going to be broadcasting it through Hopeful and Victory network channel, and I would love to talk more details about that with you. But nonetheless, I want to make your vision come true. But I want to thank all of you so much for tuning in today's live stream. I really hope you had a great time. I enjoyed our conversation, our discussion. We had a little bit of laugh. We had a little bit of sorrow. But before we go, I want to take a moment to remind you to subscribe or like my channel. I just dropped a link in the chat, my link tree, where you can find all of my different channels that I'm on, wherever you prefer. Feel free to discover me on those platforms and follow me. I follow back. Again, that's in my link tree, and I just dropped it in the chat. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. If you have any further questions or comments, please feel free to drop or leave them in the chat, or reach out to me via email at therealdustylion@gmail.com. I always love to hear from you, and I appreciate your feedback and your comment. Once again, thank you for joining me today in this live stream. I look forward to seeing you all next week on Monday at 7 a.m. sharp, bright and early, with a glass or a cup of tea or whatever you drink at 7 a.m. So take care, have a great rest of your day, and remember to have space and grace for yourself. Today will be a beautiful day. Your week is going to be good, and the world, the universe is conspiring in your favor. And and again, your identity. Trust your identity. Be in touch with your reality. I love you all. Have a great week. Mwah. Bye. Now let's see what I need to do here. I always love this part.